So who do England need to select this autumn to be genuine World Cup contenders next year? And I thought you were going to score.
Ask a better question, you get a better answer.
Hi guys, welcome back. So we're in that limbo land between internationals, but the autumn internationals are coming up fast. And the thing that's been occupying a lot of my thinking has been looking at the English Premiership and working out who do England need to play if they're going to be World Cup ready next year. Also, again, as a bit of fun, I've kind of ranked them in my head on a tier system, 1 to 3, 1 being players that I'm very happy with, that I think are ready for the World Cup, then 2 and 3 slightly lower down for different reasons. Also, during this list, I'm only going to mention each player once, and I know they could play in multiple positions, a lot of these players, but I'm just going to mention them once in the position I think they'd be best in. So yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Obviously, there's been a bit of disruption in the English Premiership. Worcester, unfortunately, yeah, I mean, they've gone into administration. They're not going to play this year. They've been automatically relegated. Their players desperately scrabbling for, employers. So that's pretty sad stuff. And we don't know what's happening with Wasps either. So certainly there's a lot of turmoil player-wise in the English Premiership. But I'm just going to ignore that for now and get into who I think should play for England in November. Okay, so here's the list, and there are going to be gaps in the tier system. I'm only really including players that I think are ready to play in the autumn internationals. If I don't think they're ready for whatever reason, I've just not put them in. So here we go. Loose head prop, we've got one tier 1 player in my opinion. That is Ellis Genge. I think he's been playing great for a long time now. Absolutely on top of his game. So he's my tier 1 loose head prop. Mako's been doing his thing. Marla's been doing his thing. Are they quite the players they used to be? Probably not quite, but they could certainly do a job. Very experienced. Bevan Rodd needs more game time. Still very young. Around the park, he's really exciting, but obviously he's going to need to mature, get that game time. But those are the 4 I think I'd consider. And of course, this is just my opinion, guys, on all these things. So please put down your players that you think you should play in this series and maybe where you'd rank them as well. Anyway, tight head prop in the summer, I saw enough of Will Stewart to put him up to tier 1 for me. So that was good news. Beyond that, I don't really see too much else. Now, Schickerling, a lot of you guys, put in the comments you think he's a really good player. He could be fantastic. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, of course, because he hasn't played a cap yet. So I'm excited to see him because a lot of you guys do rate him. Same with Joe Hayes. He's been ticking along doing his thing, but I haven't seen him really light it up yet. And I haven't included Kyle Sinclair. I'm just not sure he's ready to play yet. Looks a bit stiff playing for Bristol. Has he still got back issues? I don't know. But until we see those club performances, I'm just not going to put him in. Now on to the second rows. I'm assuming Itoje is out for these internationals. Let me know if you know any different for these injury updates. But Itoje out. I see one tier 1 second row, Johnny Hill. He looks invigorated with his club move. So that's good news for him. He's going to have to step up, be a big leader. Tier 2, actually, I'm putting Tizard in there. I just think he's ready. He's a big lad. I think his move to Saracens has really shot him up a little bit as well. Excited to see him play. Ollie Chesham, still think he's got quite a lot of physical development to go, but he's a really good talent. Ribbons, Coles, I'm not sure they're quite there yet, although if they did play, it would be interesting to see them play. But those are the 3 I'm putting in there. At blindside, now I'm pretty sure Courtney Lawes is probably going to be fit. I know he's injured at the moment. I haven't heard he's not going to be fit, but let me know if you know an update. So he's your tier 1 blindside. Tier 2, tier 3, a little bit empty to me. There's other players that can play blindside, but I'm only putting players in once. Kenningham of Harlequins, I'll be interested to see. They're a real tackling machine. George Martin of Leicester hasn't really kicked on quite as much as I thought he might, although he's an option. You could put Ted Hill in there as well, but he's in that limbo land with Worcester, of course. I think he has just moved to Bath, though, briefly. On to open side, quite a few options here. This is looking pretty good, to be honest, even with Underhill injured, who would be tier 1. There's still 2 tier 1 players, in my opinion, in Tom Curry and Jack Willis, both playing regularly, both looking really good. Tough as old boots, both of them. Yeah, I'd be really happy with either of those guys starting, I'd probably like both of them in my 23, I think. Ben Earl's making a good charge of it. He's probably slightly different to the other two. He's probably slightly better using him more as a runner, maybe slightly wider out. Not that he's bad in the contact area, but certainly his strengths maybe a bit wider out, quicker than the other two, I would say. Then tier 3, you've got other options as well. Ludlam is a tireless worker. He wouldn't do anything wrong, if you like. He's definitely a solid lump. Number 8 is interesting. I think Don Brandt's going to be fit to play in the autumn, although I don't think we've seen him recently. But he's my tier 1 number 8. I think he's got everything. Even though I know he hasn't played an awful lot for England, I think there's so much there. He's 100% my tier 1 number 8. Tier 2, I think we've got two very good options there. Very different options. Sam Simmons, back from injury, looking good, looking sharp, will get sharper. Billy Vunipola has been doing his thing regularly. Really not the quickest. He'll truck it up hard. He hasn't quite got that explosive, breaking that he used to have in his younger days. But, he will do a good job. Good ball handler, very experienced. Tier 3, I don't think there's anyone else I think I'd like to see. Tom Willis is a solid performer. I don't know if he's that top level quality, but let me know if you think differently. Barbary has really been dogged by injury, so we haven't really seen him. I think he's gone for an operation this time to try and get his hamstring sorted. Probably the right call, otherwise it's just going to keep dogging him. So I've not put those two on there yet. Scrum half. I think we're doing pretty well at scrum half, even though Randall is out injured, which is a shame. He'd have been close. But Mitchell is absolutely performing. He's a starter for Northampton, performing week in, week out. Brilliant all-round player. Got the speed, got the experience now, got the kicking game, passing. He's probably even my starter, I think. Van Poortvliet is a fantastic player, although he doesn't quite get the game time at Leicester that Mitchell gets at Northampton, but they're my two tier 1 9s. Quirk we've just seen come back for sale, which is brilliant news, and straight away we saw what he can bring. He'd be a fantastic impact player. If you'd have him on the bench, it could be great. Just more explosive, the most explosive out of all the scrum halves for sure. Tier 3, well, there's no one else I think I want to see. Ben Youngs, I don't think I've seen him at international quality for a while now, although I imagine he will be in there for his experience. Danny Kerr, I think his time's gone, although it depends how England would play, but I think the way they play might not suit him anyway. So they're my 3, Mitchell, Poortvliet, Van Poortvliet and Quirk. Into the fly halves, and I think there's 2 obvious options here. The tier 1 guys I'm putting as Owen Farrell and Marcus Smith, both playing well. Probably Farrell actually playing the best, playing at fly half for Saracens, which is where I think he should play for England. I know he could play at inside centre, but he's playing really well. Smith's playing well as well, but of course the way Harlequins play is very different to how England are going to play, and we still haven't quite seen Smith settle into that international scene. But them as the first 2 fly halves I'm very happy with. Behind them, I think it's pretty sparse actually. The best performer I've seen, I put him in a tier 3, is Charlie Atkinson. He's physically maturing, looking really talented. He would be my 3rd choice. Orlando Bailey hasn't really done a lot for Bath. Bath haven't done a lot, full stop. Atkinson, could be in a spot of bother there with Wasps. I hope their situation gets sorted soon. But anyway, Farrell and Smith is not a problem if they stay fit. At inside centre, well, I haven't got any tier 1 options at the moment that I've seen proven. I put Farrell at fly half, of course. Tier 2, Tuolangi is playing regularly. He's getting through games. Has he been explosive? Has he been devastating? Probably not yet, but he's playing regularly. He's not getting injured, and I think as a big lump at inside centre, absolutely, he's a definite option. Now, my other tier 2 option is Anianwu of Harlequins. He's come out of the shadows because Est Hayden's been away with South Africa, and boy, he's grabbed it. They make him play at Harlequins as well, so he's developing his skills very nicely. He's going to make a lot more mistakes than other players just because the way that Harlequins play, they do make mistakes, but they do score tries. So he's going to have to adapt to international rugby. But him and Tuolangi, I see as a really good pair there. Anianwu could learn off Tuolangi, both big lumps as well. Anianu's got a bit more speed and probably more passing range on him. Tuolangi's got the bulk and the experience. So absolutely as proper inside centres, I see those two potentially. Tier 3, I think Guy Porter maybe deserves another look. I wasn't very impressed with him in the summer, but yeah, it should definitely have another look. Outside centre, 2 tier 1s for me. Joe Marchant, I think, has got all the skills, although he's playing a lot on the wing at the moment because Northmore has been the choice for Harlequins at outside centre. But both of those guys, I think, are absolute class. Slade's coming back slowly. Maybe haven't seen fireworks from him, but he's got the experience, he's got the skills. And young Will Joseph continues to improve, very young. But yeah, he's got the speed, he's got a little passing game as well, the offload game. Yeah, I like him a lot as a tier 3 option. Dingwall of Northampton gets selected in squad. He's just such a great player. Just physically, I'm not sure he's quite got that extreme speed or size, to really mix it at the top level, but he'd never let you down. But I'm not putting him on my tier list at the moment. On to the wings, a little light in the wings, I'd say. Tommy Freeman has been performing really well for Northampton, so he's my tier 1 option, although I think he could well move around later in his career, fullback or centre, but he's a big lad, he's quick enough, he's got great skills, and I think he's a really good guy to have in your team. The 2 big performers in the Premiership that just haven't had England recognition, Caden Murley, Ollie Hassel-Collins, goodness me, they're scoring for fun, playing week in, week out. Give at least one or both of those guys a chance. Ben Loader is a classic winger as well for London Irish. He'd be my tier 3 option. Thorkin Seeger of Bath, he's playing regularly, he's fit, which is great, but speed-wise, I'm not seeing it. Agility-wise, I think he's a bit of a liability, but he's certainly the biggest guy there. Noel, May, Watson coming back from injury. Haven't seen anything from those guys to say they are top-level international quality at the moment, but they do a job. They've got experience. But anyway, Freeman, Murley, Hassel-Collins and Loader are the 4 I'm putting there on my list. At fullback, quite a few options. Freddie Stewart, learning week in, week out, playing regularly, scores well, makes a few errors, but he's learning. Like I said, he's got all the ability. And a different sort of player, Henry Arundel, has been playing regularly for London Irish. And what I like as well, he's scored tries, but he's created tries as well. 2 very different fullbacks. Obviously, Arundel the speed, Stewart the size, but one could play on the wing potentially. So absolutely tier 1 for me. Tier 2, Elliot Daly's been playing very well for Saracens. It worries me a little bit that maybe if there's a key tackle to be made or some contact to be taken, he might not fully go for it. But that's just something in the back of my mind from what we've seen in the past. But he's playing great. He's got the experience, got the skills, so I put him as a tier 2. Max Malins, they play on the wing, even though I think he's a better fullback, but he's a class player. George Furbank, he's a good club player, although I'm just not sure he's going to be a good international, so I'm not put him on the ranking list, although I'm sure he'll be in a squad there or thereabouts. Anyway, guys, that is my tier list. Those are the players I'd like to appear in the November internationals. I've kind of tiered them as well, so you can see which ones I think are ahead of the game at the moment. But I'd love to know what you guys think. And anyway, till next time, I'll catch you then.